Hello everyone, this is Steve's here, coming to you from the Nutrition and Health Center, where we provide hope for healing and healthy solutions for abundant living. We are coming to you today to talk a little bit about omega fatty acids, how they work in your body, how they work to reverse disease, how they also control inflammation and pain, and how you can test to know if you're getting the right amounts. And you must test, because this is an essential nutrient that is life or death. So let's get started. All right. So this revolutionary sources that we use of omega fatty acids is key for the development of the EPA, or the need of EPA in the body. They are purified and certified essential fatty acids from third party. And let's show you what they look like and how they work. So EPA, we call these our super nutrients, the DHA as well. These are the components found in fish oil, eicosapentaenoic, dicosahexaenoic, and they are key elements in various functions within body chemistry. They possess long-chain fatty acids. These come from fish, obviously, and they're essential because we don't make them and we need to get them from our diet. Here's a metabolic pathway that shows the omega-6s and the omega-3s. And the reason we're showing the omega-6s, they're in red, is because they're pro-inflammatory. And you can see up at the top left some of the poorer quality oils, the polyunsaturates, corn and safflower. Now there's a little of polyunsaturates 6 in the flaxseed, but flaxseed has 85% omega-3, so it's a food that's highly beneficial to provide omega-3, which you see on the right hand of the chart that reflects the anti-inflammatory pathway. All the way at the bottom of that chart, you'll see those LBT5 and prostaglandin PGE3. These are anti-inflammatory. They help to cool the body, to keep it under control, any inflammation that may be taking place. And you can also see within the chart, the EPA that's kind of in the middle here towards the bottom, the arrow pointing over to the left is showing how EPA actually blocks inflammation from further progression downstream from omega-6s. Now we get a lot of omega-6s from our diet, from processed foods that are out there, and this is why supplementing is so critical, because of the processed food industry and what it's done. Every organ system that's reflected here is just a few that rely on omega fatty acids. The neurological system, if it's not functioning well and having adequate fatty acids and phospholipids, then you're not going to signal neurotransmitters and have neurological disorders, everything from depression, Alzheimer's, developmental disorders in kids, mental functioning issues, even seizures we've seen in these cases. So neurological support, extremely critical. The endocrine system relies on fatty acids because of the fatty acids in the cell membrane. I'm going to show you that in a minute. The PMS is affected by that because of hormone signaling in the cell membrane. And then menopause, and obviously as we age, men also have andropause, our hormone signals diminish, and then our production has to go up. One of the ways the body increases hormones is the production of cholesterol. And then we think that's the bad guy, and so we take drugs to suppress that. Wrong action to consider. Just improving cell membranes will dramatically change hormone signaling within your body. The immune system, arthritis, any of the itises, inflammatory bowel conditions, lupus, and so forth. These conditions are well quenched and inflammation is put down when fatty acids are utilized. Also in the structure of the body composition is affected by fatty acid presence, the presence of the need for strong bones. We need fatty acids to transfer minerals into bone complexes and for hormones to signal. Healthy hair, supple skin. And what we're talking about this whole month of February, cardiovascular health, heart attack, stroke, triglycerides. We're going to show you more on that on some of the studies here. This is a picture of the cell membrane. In this particular chart we have reflecting blood glucose, and how on the right hand split you'll see glucose in those yellow molecules that are reflecting a buildup of sugar outside the cell. But the membranes shown here, these little bubbles in the surface of the membrane, reflect the fatty acids in chains together. And you see in the left-hand side healthy amounts of EPA and DHA and what they do to help signals come into the cell, to nourish the cell, to increase energy into the mitochondria, and to get the proper genetic signaling that we are searching for. Fish oils have an enormous effect on cardiovascular disease. If we can achieve 5.5 to 10% up to 11% long-chain fatty acid amounts of omega-3s, this reduces our risk of cardiac arrest by as much as 90%. And not only that, but stroke risk. This was a JAMA article way back in 1995. Dramatic changes. Get your levels tested so you know, and take the Qualit. This is actually my test that I did last year in May, and you can see my omega levels that are at 10.98%, and that was the peak of what you saw in that particular study, the JAMA study. We'll go back to that. 10.9%, and my score was 10.98. That's pretty cool. I didn't even intend to do that, but that's by taking 6 of a quality fish oil per day for my body size and for my biochemistry, dealing with the silent inflammation of arthritis from historical past. But the influence also affects the brain. Omega-3 and healthy brain function. People who eat fish or take fish oil supplements score 13% higher in IQ tests and are prone to healthier brain aging. The results suggest that fish oil users have the younger brains than non-users. The aging of the brain is being slowed down by a year or two based on that. So Dr. Lawrence Wally in his study, Cognitive Aging and Childhood Intelligence. Healthy body composition. Fish oil concentrates not only cause weight reduction in mice, but also appear to stop animals from gaining weight when given free access to foods. We also see it in humans, and the ones that come to our clinic have for years, and fatty acids work to do the same as it does for these little guys. Additionally, omega-3 concentrates reduce the number of fat cells, especially in the abdominal region. Researchers show that concentrated fish oil increases the oxidation of fat by activating genes that break down fat into the mitochondria and peroxisomes. These are some suggested amounts. It's really based on everybody's chemistry, on how they test and what their influence, their environmental factors, how many times you go out to eat versus the individual that doesn't. And so you can take these amounts, adult maintenance, just 2 grams a day, which is really low. That would be for a very small female, maybe 100, 110, 20 pounds. And she was in optimally good health, eating really well. The cardiovascular health individuals need 2 to 4 grams. 4 is ideal, and sometimes 6 based on the individual and size of the individual. Optimal fat levels for generic individuals would be 4 to 6 as well. Dealing with minor pain and inflammation, 2 to 7 grams per day. Mental function, up to 10 grams per day, so pour it on with the kids. Get them to consume a lot of that to help with their neurological development. And prenatal health, really important to make sure that the baby is getting nourished while it's being developed. Also, the children and infants, at least 1 gram a day for kids under 6 years of age and under, and then 1/2 gram for those infants. I want to talk about quality supplements, higher purity and safety than fish because of the farm salmon issue and PCBs that are out there. There are some scary things going on. In July 2003, results from tests of stored-bought farm salmon showed 7 of 10 fish were so contaminated with PCBs that they raise cancer risk. Salmon farming has made salmon the 3rd most popular fish in America, and it comprises 22% of all retail seafood counter sales. However, research shows that farm salmon are likely the most PCB-contaminated protein source for people in the U.S. This is from an environmental working group. Governmental studies show that 1 of every 6 pregnant women in the U.S. will give birth to a baby whose blood is contaminated with mercury. Could have come from the fish that the mom was exposed to, but It's also emitted out in the atmosphere from coal-fired power plants. Another thing is vaccination. A lot of the preservatives have methyl mercury in them in the form of thimerosal that gets in the body system. So we've got to be aware of this mercury contamination and help correct that and get the body to excrete it and make sure we're getting pure fish oil sources. So here's a study on a serving of farmed salmon, and what it has, you see it on the far right there, the amount of PCBs that are found in it versus other meats, and then the far wild Alaskan and Canadian salmon showing very, very low levels of PCBs because of the fish living in the wild without that contamination found in the foods. What's in farm salmon, I pulled this research off of what'sinfarmsalmon.com. The fat, the DDT, viruses, insecticides, GMO from corn and animal products, artificial coloring to make it look good on the shelf, flame retardants, don't know how that gets in there, and then PCBs, again, very toxic food. Stay away from it when you go out to eat. You definitely want responsibly farmed raised, if it's farm raised, but wild caught is ideal. So when you're getting a quality supplement from a company, these are some of the things to look for. What we provide, the deacidification, removing the free fatty acids so they can be utilized. Bleaching removes the coloring pigments and heavy metals, get those out of the system that can be accumulated by the fish. The winterization removes solid particles. A molecular distillation for purity and concentration, and then deodorizing improves taste and reduces the PCBs and dioxins that are found there. All of these are tested by third-party assays to make sure these contaminants are getting out. And then with our Perk brand product we use and the Gateway formulas now developing, we are have the benefit of the nitrogen blanketing that's used as protection during processing that avoids the oxidation of the delicate fatty acids and preserves it for your good. Omega-3 formulas should be purity guaranteed. This is one of the research reports on an omega concentration formula that was sent to the lab to be tested for mercury, lead, dioxins, PCBs, yeast, molds, and bacteria. Want to make sure that when you get that fish oil, it's been tested and purified, and we know it's safe. So we look for these quality features. The efficacy means the pharmaceutical grade type is actually within a 5% window of accuracy. So if it says 1,000 milligrams and 600 of it is EPA, 400 would be DHA, that it's going to be within 5% of those actual numbers. It's free of pesticides and heavy metals, as we've said, and you'll have peace of mind. A third-party assay, obviously, looking at purity to know that you're getting a pure product. It's fresh and stable because antioxidant blends are put in there to keep it preserved. And we get better compliance because of enteric coating. It doesn't take fishy, and to have that lemon essence that's in there and available in multiple sizes. I wanted to show you this. Give me a moment. This is my Omega report as I showed you earlier, but I have more details of what's in the report. It just doesn't measure the Omega levels. We also see the actual, what do I have here? That's trans fats. There's 4 pages here. The second page here showing the Omega ratios of the 6 to 3. You can see mine was 2.01 to 1. And that's ideal and desirable. The arachidonic acid, which was in the cascade of inflammatory pathways, we want to guard against that. You can see my EPA arachidonic acid is ideal at 1.1 to 1. And then on the last page of the report, and by the way, this test is only $75 and 10% off this month, and I'll show that again at the end. My index here was 0.4% of trans fat. So obviously you don't get very many of those because I don't go to the places and get those kinds of foods into my body. So let's go back to our presentation, and that is about the end, because I just wanted to tell you to test and don't guess. Your heart and your life depend on it. Find out what you're going to need to take, what you have been taking. The test, again, is 10% off this month of February to honor those that want to make sure their cardiovascular health and their whole body systemic health is at an ideal level. We thank you for watching and pray God bless you and that you prosper and be in health.